Hello everyone, this is Untitled Chapter, and welcome to another comparisons. This time on Biomes and Dimensions. I was going to separate them, but I thought I'd put them in sort of the same type of video, since there might be sort of similar things I've come across, such as dimensional biome aspects, or just where I'm mostly just showing off the dimensions and mostly just be seeing the biomes anyways. So yeah, first we'll start off with Nether and End Biome, which pretty much just adds the following blocks, as you can see, typically from the Nether, whether it be netherrack, soul sand, gravel, and there is also in that some aspects of stone in here. There's still the typical ores, and it's mostly just coating the top of the actual world gen. So anything underneath from ores and otherwise is pretty much exactly the same, it's just coating the top. And then you've got End Biome, which just has end stone and end stone bricks. Now it does have a few different mobs, such as in the end one, shulkers, end mites, as well as the Ender Dragon. The Ender Dragon doesn't spawn too well in it. And in the Nether Biome, I'm pretty sure possibly Endermen have spawned, as well as wither skeletons, and I think that's about it. There hasn't been any pigmen or magma cubes or anything else as far as I've come across. Oh no, now there is. Well, at least in prior looking around, I haven't come across them until now. But yeah, so we'll move on to the next ones. Okay, for our first dimension we have Desert Land, which is a pretty small mod that adds a fair amount of mobs, sword, shield, a few other things. You can see it's mostly just a desert. The ducks just happen to spawn there. You make the portal like so. You get the gold orb from husks that you use as a portal igniter. And if you just go underground, you can see possibly a structure nearby for the world gen as well. If I can hopefully find one. So it's got a combination of biomes itself, from a rocky desert to a steppe, but yeah, doesn't seem to be that the structure wants to appear, but you can obviously find it in the video review I've got here. Otherwise though, we'll move on to the next. Just real quick though, just happened to find a village with some of the villages from the mod, besides the sort of dungeon one that I mostly show in the other video. Okay, next up we have Glacidus, which is a dimension mod that has multiple different layers. You make a portal obviously with packed ice and break the glowstone and it transforms. And I've already done that, so we'll go in. You've got little platforms as well as a way to teleport back, which is a fair amount of those. And while it is that I have probably a bunch of others from other mods in here, possibly, you got a few mobs, fair amount of dimension related blocks, and as we go down the levels you can see the following there, as well as obviously some advancements, as you can tell. So you've got the ground one there, got more of a forest of sorts, and then when you go back up you've got the following, like so. You can see all the different things here: food, tools, blocks, biome related stuff, armor, and so on. The gravity can be a bit interesting to get used to though, as you can tell. And then obviously just lift back up and you're out of the dimension. On to the next one. Next we have Journey into the Light, which is a mod similar to those of Divine RPG, Eternal Isles and such, where there's tons of different dimensions, as you can tell here. for 1.8, and eventually, now it's come out for 1.12, just sort of recently. So yeah, it's got a bunch of different varieties of dimensions, from those that are more in the sky, to those that are sort of netherish, to those that are more frosted, and so on. As well as adding a ton of mobs, a ton of materials, so ores that you'll use either to advance for the basics, for either particular tools, flame coins you can see for lighting portals, a bunch of different drops, tons of weapons, tools, armor, and so on, with obviously full set bonuses, tons of ores that you can use to go from one dimension to the next, certain structures and such, and bosses and so on. One of them obviously is in the Nether, others you mostly just make the portal frames based on what materials you have. So for example, if I just go to here, you can see some portal pieces you'd use to then make portal frames and such. But obviously you'd need a fair amount of defeating of mobs, or to mine to get to that point. On to the next one. Okay, for some of the rest of these I've tried searching for a while and haven't had too much luck, so I'll just have to go off the images here, as you can see. But yeah, we've got even more extra biomes. A mod that pretty much sort of gives a lot more with taller trees, sort of lower and higher elevation of biome, as you can see, or higher elevation and lower elevation of terrain. Still using a lot of vanilla aspects though. So yeah. Freaky Forest, which is just a sort of biome with mushrooms, shulkers, sand, a few other things, sort of different type of biome. Biome collection, which adds a fair amount, as you can see there. From an ore related one to a quartz one, mushrooms to a rainforest, nether to redstone and TNT, a wood related biome, and so on. Just a few others obviously you can see here that I was looking between. Hellocraft, which is pretty much just a bunch of mobs and blocks, as well as a sort of mushroom, mycelium, sort of haunted dimension of sorts, not to be biome of sorts, not to be confused with the hello for fabric and such. And then a few others obviously that I'm going to cover soon, which we'll move on to 1.14 for those. And in 1.14 we'll be looking at a biome and dimension mod. We'll start with Koratio, a dimension mod that, I'll just go into this one here if possible, adds a few dimensions as well as a bunch of other specific things, sort of similar to Journey into the Light. You've got your different biomes, different tools, don't know why that's not happening yet, ores, different blocks to either fit the biomes of the dimensions or certain other possibilities such as crates, mimics, and a few other things. If we just go to a particular biome here, actually I'm going to actually try that to see if it takes me to a dimension, probably. 1 second. Well, my game was trying to do a bit too much, so it kind of crashed, but either way, different dimensions, tools, a bunch of other aspects. And you've got better basic biomes, which pretty much revamps the vanilla biomes, but adds things like quicksand, certain stuff to the mesas you can see here, with the bones, different cacti also, and a bit more to the savannah as you can see, with some granite there, in the desert, like so. Otherwise though, thanks so much for watching, and goodbye.